Hi, in this video we're going to be talking about yet another disk analyzer tool. So if you are running out of room on your hard drive and you're not sure what's taking up the space, or if you have any large files kind of hidden away, you could use this tool to find out. So this one's called RidNacs, so there's nothing to install. You just download the zip file, extract it, and run the executable, which is nice. That's one of the features we like about this. It's always better when you don't have to install anything. All right, so we'll just double click it to open it up here. All right, and then you could pick your drive or folder if you don't want to do a whole drive, and then it'll keep track of some of your recent scans as well. So if you click here, you could choose folder if you don't want to do the entire drive. All right, so you can see it's pretty basic, so there are not a ton of options. So there are better ones out there, but you might want to try this one because, like I said, you don't have to install anything. So if you're just looking for something simple, then this might do the job. All right, let's try just doing the whole C drive first and see what happens. And now you can see we're getting this access denied because we're not running this as administrator. So what you might want to do is close it out, right-click the executable, run as administrator, and of course you'll need to be an administrator to do this. Say yes to the UAC prompt. Now we could scan again. For system volume information, you're still going to get an access denied whether you're running as administrator or not. But now that we're running as administrator, we can scan some folders that we might not have been able to get into. All right, so as you can see here, it puts the C drive on the top here because obviously that has the most amount of space used. And then going down the line here, so Windows is next, using 50 gigs, and it has this many files, and percent of the parent here, so 59% of the parent. Then you have the date modified here. And we have program files and users, and then of course you could expand each one here, so we could see out of the two users here, that Todd is using 12 gigs out of 12.3. So we could drill into that. You can see here that Documents is using 6.5 gigs out of the 12 gigs there, with 88 files in the documents and 7.6% of the parent here. You just drill into this, so we see we have this miscellaneous folder using 6.34 out of 6.43. If we go into that, we can see our problematic files here. We have these two large ISO files in there. And then one thing you notice too, this grouped files. So there is an option to turn this off, but what this does is any files under 1 megabyte will get grouped together here to kind of give you a total. So there's 66 small files taking up 9 megabytes, and of course you can expand it and see what they are. And then I'll show you how to turn that off once we get into the settings here. And then you can see here in our videos folder we have 3.2 gigabytes, and that's because of this one video file here. All right, so let's check out some of the options here real quick. We have the file menu if you want to choose a new folder. So let's try doing that instead of the whole drive to kind of narrow things down. So let's just do the documents folder here. All right, then you can see here if we highlight a file, we could open the file or delete it. Then we could repeat our analysis, rescan the selected directory, stop it at any time, open the directory with Explorer, save the results. So if you do this, it'll save it as a CSV file. So let's just call this test, put it on the desktop. So this report is pretty basic here. Now what you'll notice too, which is the thing I don't like, so you can see we were just doing documents, yet it put a report for everything on the C drive. So this is the size in bytes, which I'm not a fan of either because it's too hard to read, and then the number of files. So if you wanted to get a report just of your documents, for example, you'd either have to close out back in, or you might be able to do a new scan here and just pick it again. So let's try that. Let's just go to the home page here. Let's just pick this one here. Let it finish. Let's call this number 2 here. So you can see it did the same thing. So let's close out of the program. Let's administer again. All right, let's just do the documents here. So it's 3. So now you can see we have just the documents folder because we had to exit out of the first scan there that was scanning the entire C drive. And then once again, you have it in bytes, which is not very helpful unless you use some kind of formula to convert it to megabytes or gigabytes. So not super useful on the export option here. All right, let's check out the preferences real quick. So here's the option if you want to turn off the grouping option here, and maximum number of recent items in the app itself. Rounding down rule, you could use the round down like Explorer. You could change the way the percentage bar looks if you're into that. And that's about it for your options. And then once you have it open here, you have some right-click options, like you would have in File Explorer. If you want to open it, cut, copy, paste, delete, check the properties, that type of thing. And there are no options here to change columns. You could sort the columns if you want, but you can't right-click and add any other columns, though. But like I was saying, it's a pretty basic app, and you don't have to install anything. But like I was saying, it might be perfectly fine for your needs if you're just looking to find specific large files on your computer. All right, so I'll put a link in the description where you could download RidNacs and you could try it out for yourself. All right, thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe.